order. Roll call.
Mayor Truman. Councilmember Colbert.
Here.
Councilmember Wilson.
Here.
Councilmember Bass.
Here.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory. Here. Councilmember Kerstetter. Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Stamp.
Please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't see anybody from Ministerial Alliance, so we will continue with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we will have approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is the administration agenda, the meeting minutes from March 18th, 2025.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of March 18, 2025, regular council minutes as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from March 18th. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. This time, we will have a presentation. I'm sorry, a proclamation. With the mayor being gone, I will take care of that. This is proclaiming April 2025 as Roger Stewart Month. And Roger's not aware of this, but he's gonna join in at the end of this and present something to us. Whereas the City of Valley Center wishes to recognize and extend its deepest gratitude to Roger Stewart for his dedicated service to our community, and whereas Roger has selflessly contributed his time, expertise, and passion while serving on several committees, including the Public Properties and Outdoor Space Board, where his leadership and commitment have helped shape and preserve the beauty of our city, and whereas Roger has demonstrated an unwavering passion for trees, tirelessly advocating for their care and preservation, and inspiring countless others with his dedication to the environment, and whereas through his steadfast support of Arbor Day and his efforts to promote the value of trees in our community, he has become known as the one who speaks for the trees, reminding us all of the importance of protecting and nurturing our natural spaces. Whereas his devotion to conservation has earned him the affectionate title of the Lorax of Valley Center, and his efforts align with the mission of the environmental icons such as Smokey the Bear, making him true steward of the land and a champion for responsible environmental practices. Whereas the City of Valley Center acknowledges and appreciates Roger's years of service, his passion for our natural spaces, and his role in enhancing the quality of life for all residents. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Ben Anderson, City Council President of the City of Valley Center, on behalf of the City Council and all its residents, do hereby recognize and commend Roger Stewart for his exemplary contributions and lasting impact on our community, and do hereby declare the month of April 2025 as Roger Stewart Month in the City of Valley Center, urging all residents to join in celebrating his dedication and legacy. Roger, if you could come up to the podium, please. He was lured here under the guise that we were going to have him read an Arbor Day proclamation, which we are. Does he have a copy?
He does. He has a copy. Mr. Mayor, just like to really express our thanks to Roger. Yes, this is a surprise to him, and I know how much he has invested in this community over the years. We've worked together for, gosh, forever. Yeah. Since he was on council and accepted the position to be on the Public Properties and Outdoor Spaces Board, which was the Park and Free Board back then, but Roger has helped tremendously, as I mentioned at other council meetings, with the Meridian Project and other projects around town. Served on several boards and committees, subcommittees for recently, like the rec and aquatic centers. So again, we really appreciate this. I'm going to turn it over to Roger. Thank you, Roger.
Well, thank you. I didn't expect this. I am going to read the Arbor Day proclamation. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting of trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day, first observed by planting more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce erosion of our precious topsoils by wind and water. It can cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. Now, therefore, I'm not Mayor Truman, Mayor of Valley Center, do hereby proclaim April 25th as Arbor Day in the city of Valley Center. And I encourage all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
Yes.
I do have another thing about all the trees, but I guess I read this. Community and part of this whole process has become we are now the 24th year that we've become a tree city or been certified to be a tree city USA. So here is the official certification that this is the 24th year or for 2024. And along with some of the goodies that we were given, we've got to find a good place for our flag. I've got a flag that we've gotten in the past, a little more heavy duty, and got the flag there at the pool for years. But we had that renovated. What happened to it? But this was a nice one. I think found a nice common place to display. So, one last thing, we are 10 trees away from finishing the Meridian project. So hopefully that can get done in the next couple of days. We had a little hiccup with a conduit that wasn't supposed to be there, at least we didn't think it was. And but we're 10 trees away. And if you've driven by Meridian, down Meridian, you've seen some of the crab apples and some of the red buds that are just about ready to pop. So it's pretty exciting. So it's a good time to be in spring, and hopefully we'll have a real beautiful stretch down Meridian as they grow. And once again, thank you very much for making April my day.
Roger, thank you so much, and thank you for your contribution to our community. Next is the public forum. If there's anyone here to speak about an item that is not on the agenda, please step forward and state your name and address. No one? Okay. We'll move, there's no appointments. We'll move on to item 10, old business. A, ordinance 1421-25.
Good evening, council. Tonight is just the second reading of the ordinance to reduce the speed limit 45 miles per hour from the 9200 block of North Meridian to the 9600 block of North Meridian. I'll stand for any questions.
Motion to approve for second reading, ordinance 1421-25, lowering the speed limit on North Meridian.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item B, funding request from Valley Center Historical Society. I'm sorry, I jumped over that, crossed off the wrong one. Item A, approval of Eagle Scout project.
Good evening again, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Caleb Volgamore. He's working on an Eagle Scout project that he'd like to present to us tonight, so I want to turn it over to him.
Like he said, I'm Caleb Volgamore. I'm a Life Scout of Troop 494, and I'm working on my Eagle, and one of the things I need to do is an Eagle project, so I'm here to present that to you guys. So the gist of it is I'm planning to put some fish habitats in McLaughlin Park and Arrowhead in the ponds there. Sorry. These will help do a lot of things, really. They can provide shelter and provide growth for other things for the fish to feed on. And these are actually really simple structures. If we can pull up the pictures, I can explain them. Yeah, as you can see, they're made of pipes and cinder blocks. It's really that simple. What you do is you screw some screws into the end, and you can shove them into the cinder block and then pour concrete in there to set them. And then, so this picture is not complete, by the way, also. What we still need to do, I'm going to have some scouts do, is open them up. There's other tubes in there called microducts, and what you can do is you can cut it open like a banana, and you can take a heat gun and you can fan it out, and that's really what the fish like, is more tight space. That would not make very good fish habitat, those right there. But I will get that done, and I'm actually planning on doing that this Wednesday with a few scouts. But installing them, I need to talk about that, obviously. I plan on doing that this Sunday at 4 o'clock, and I have organized a bunch of scouts to help me with that. I will be doing that with a boat. We will put them in the center of the pond where it's the deepest, because the plastics are fine in the water, but the sun can break them down. So as long as we get them deep enough, they should not break down. And so we'll have a couple scouts go out in the boat into the ponds and drop them in the center. And at McLaughlin, I have one of those, and then also the Parks Department, or it was a fish biologist at the Great Plains Nature Center gave me the conduit, and he also gave me some, like another smaller one that I plan to put in there with one of the bigger ones into McLaughlin. So it'll be kind of 1.5 structures in McLaughlin. And once we get those put in, I plan to also clean up the park, make it look better while we're there. And then we will move to Arrowhead Park, where we will set the other one the same way by floating out there in the boat and dropping it into the deepest part.
Thank you, Caleb. Council, do you have any questions for Caleb? Councilmember Evans.
Is it possible to get pictures right before you drop them in there so we can see what the final product looks
Plenty
like?
of pictures.
Excellent, thank you. I move to approve for Caleb Vogelmore to install fish habitats in the McLaughlin and Arrowhead ponds for his Eagle Scout project.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the project. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Caleb,
Thank you.
and good luck. Now we will move on to item B, funding request from Valley Center Historical Society.
Hello, I'm Lori Sherrill. I'm the president of the Historical Society. And thank you for letting us come tonight. So the Historical Society, we are closing in on our 50th anniversary as a society. And it was started end of 75, beginning of 76 by people who just wanted to, they loved Valley Center. We wanted other people to know and remember things about Valley Center. And so we are tasked with want to preserve, display items, facts, share knowledge about our town. And so right now, our house, we're needing some help with that. Our memberships are not what they used to be, and our fundraising, the phone books were our fundraiser for years, and the cell phone has kind of done away with that. So we need 24 new windows on our house, or as many as we can get right now. And so we're just looking for a grant to help us out. We would love $10,000 to really put a dent in that. We're guessing, given the current market, we haven't gotten full quotes yet, but we're kind of betting that we're closer to $1,000 a window than we would like to be. So if we could get any kind of a grant, we would greatly appreciate that as we try to kick off and become more and more involved. We've been very, the last 2 years, we've had more and more of the school groups coming through as part of their civics and community segment in the elementary schools. And we're really wanting to build more of that relationship, and we really need our displays and our building to do that. So that is a request.
Clint, would you like to speak on the handout that you gave us and talk about some budgeting items?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I laid a sheet of paper in front of each of you tonight. I'm not going to put that up, but we can just kind of discuss it in there. We have $20,000 allocated in Fund 77701 for economic development for 2025. Of that, we've already spent $2,458. Of that, $2,200 was spent last week, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago on the mud daubers, which you guys approved. And then we also had $258.52 for candies and supplies for the home show. So we have a remaining right at around $17,500 left for the 2025 budget here. We do not currently have money allocated for the Historical Society. So I'm going to kind of just talk about some different options and kind of things that we had planned on doing, and we can kind of discuss this out loud together. What we had talked about for the remainder of 2025 was $800 was going to be paid for the 2026 home show. We decided to do that. $5,000 was going to be allocated for KPTS, PBS. $5,000 was going to be allocated for the Fall Festival, which those three together would use an additional $10,800 in the budget. Adding in what we've already spent, that would leave $6,700 for the remainder of the 2025 budget. We had planned on using that $6,700 to run either commercials or billboards to advertise the different subdivisions that we would be digging around Valley Center. It's kind of the game plan that Kyle and Brent have been discussing. So some different options. I talked with Brent before he left town, actually several occasions about this request tonight. Here are some different options. I don't really have a recommendation. I'm simply just going to present some different options to you, but we do have $5,000 allocated for the Fall Festival. Brent was not very interested in moving that money simply because that's kind of the big event at Valley Center. It brings in not only our residents, but a lot of out-of-towners. And I think we all agree that's a pretty important event for us to support. We do have the $6,700 completely unallocated for either billboards or commercials. That has not been spent yet. Again, it's just allocated at this point in time. We do have $5,000 allocated for PBS. Brent thought that would probably be the best options. The remaining money, if you would choose to either cut that down or eliminate it altogether. I also spoke to Kyle this morning. He said that right now they have not decided for sure that they're going to do the home show next year. That may also open up an additional $800. At this point in time, though, again, I don't really have a recommendation. I'm simply presenting to you kind of where we planned at this point in time. And you guys can have to answer any questions you have, and we can discuss later.
Councilmember Gregory.
The $5,000 allocation for PBS includes some commercials, does it not, and some advertising?
I'll be honest with you, I don't have that level of detail.
Generally, yes, they do have some promotional spots that highlight their sponsors. I don't know if we get a new commercial every year, and I'm not sure what ours currently looks like as far as what it's promoting. It might be promoting the community as a whole, where we were trying to focus on the housing with the additional promotions we were wanting to do. But yes, there is commercials and advertising on PBS.
Thank you.
Councilmember Wilson.
On the billboard money that's set aside there, the 6,700, is that for one billboard, 10 billboards? Roughly, do you have an idea of what a billboard runs, or what? I mean, I'm just trying to think if we could allocate part of that and maybe not all of it to billboards.
Billboards are way more expensive than I thought they were. And so we hadn't decided what exactly we're doing with it because of how expensive billboards are. We've looked at doing, I think if I remember right, some of the ones that are just right outside of Valley Center on the interstate are about $3,000 a month. So that wouldn't get us very much. So trying to look at some other options that maybe we can get more bang for our buck potentially. Not saying that those aren't a worthy investment because they're right off of our, off ramp. But we might be able to get other impressions through other media as well.
I guess I have a follow-up question maybe for you with the society. Do you foresee this as being a longer project? I mean, I'm thinking about what about funding for next year, if you feel like you can get, because you're talking about 24 windows. That's a little bit of an undertaking. You said almost $1,000 a window. Is that what I understand?
That's where we're
Roughly?
guessing right now. We have not gotten quotes. We're about to start that process. We got $1,000 from Minnecaus in their last distribution, so that's going towards windows. And we're going to also be trying to raise it. Part of our thing is we understand that what we've been told is that the windows change just a little bit year over year, and we want them to look similar. So whether we work it out with with whoever gets the quote, are they willing to kind of guarantee us 24 windows that look the same, and then we can put them in? We're also going to be asking for, would somebody do a gift in kind of, if we pay for the window, would they do the installation and that kind of thing? So we're just getting started on that. Anything we get, we'd be very grateful for, but we're not at the point of pulling the trigger, but that's part of what we're thinking through as we're doing this.
Thank you.
Lori, I have a follow-up. You don't need to come up there, but is that, to follow up to Robert, is that something that you're going to try to do this year, or you're going to do it when you can acquire? Is it something you could possibly put off till next year, I guess is the question.
There are some of the windows that we probably need to get done this year.
Okay.
We've got some rot and some things like
Okay.
that. So at least we know there's some windows we've got to take care of this year. But again, we are hoping to get it done close so that the windows will be similar.
Okay,
We're also trying to do some more fundraising and stuff on our own as well.
thank you. Council, is this something you want to act on tonight, or do you want to take some time to mull over? Or,
Yeah, I think advertising for these neighborhoods is ultra important. We need to fill them up. But also preserving our history is important too. So just trying to figure out that dollar amount. So.
Councilmember Evans?
I was just going to say, I agree with Clint. Trying to hold on to that history is very, very important. And I just wonder if we can shave off of the billboards a bit, shave off the PBS a bit, and then at least get something started and then maybe look at next year for allocation.
Is it possible, Kyle, for us to get some more solid numbers on what our billboards cost and like tiers of things that maybe we can see what we can trade out, and also follow up on the PBS as far as what we're getting for that allocation that we've been given in the past?
Okay.
Thank you, Christy.
Normally, he comes out each year and does
Right.
his pitch. I was looking back in last year's, and it was about this time when he was out, and I don't know whether he has been in contact with Brent to make those arrangements. But yeah, then they usually have that, I don't want to call it a contract, but the list of services, and I don't think we've been contacted yet. I've not seen anything from PBS this year.
Councilmember Bass?
I also think if we can get that information, and then also, I wouldn't imagine it would take you too long to get those quotes, just so we can kind of see how many windows we can potentially help out with too. That would be awesome.
So it sounds like we're leaning towards not making a decision tonight on this, but maybe acting at the next meeting with some follow-up information and possibly making a decision. Does that sound right, Council?
Yes.
I could make a motion to table this until our April 15th meeting for further discussion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to table this item until next meeting. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much for coming, Lori. Item C, approval of final pay app, Prairie Lakes Phase 4.
Good evening, council members. My name is Samantha Reeve. I'm with SCH, and I was the resident project representative for Phase 4 of Prairie Lakes. So I wanted to provide a brief overview of construction for you, as what you have in front of you is the final pay application. This phase had 44 residential lots, and McCullough Excavation had the lowest bid. They contracted with Andale Construction, who provided the RCC or roller compacted concrete that you all approved. We had one change order totaling $14,786.70. Changes were due to additional rock face needed at curb and around the island. That was a quantity adjustment from plan field. And then we had a deduct for the roller compacted concrete that we discussed, and a temporary culvert to provide drainage to the residents just south of our project along Seneca. Substantial completion was hit on October 1st, 2024, with a final completion date of October 15th, 2024. We had 2 additional weeks for the change order, and then we had a total of 15 weather days, so we had no liquidated damages. Does anybody have any questions?
Council, any questions?
Make a motion to approve the final payment in the amount of $64,619.08 for the Prairie Lakes Phase 4 project.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the final pay app. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item D, ordinance 1422-25, rezoning 135 North Ash.
Good evening, council. This is coming to you from the Planning and Zoning Board. Last week, they heard this rezone. Specifically, it is going from, or they're requesting and Planning and Zoning is recommending approval of changing from R1B to R4. R1B is single family residential. R4 is high density residential. The applicant is wanting to tear down the existing home, which you can see on the map on the screen, is kind of there on the southern end of the property with the address 135 listed on that white square there. They're wanting to tear that down, and they're wanting to build, they're hoping to do 2 duplexes, and that's the reason for the R4 zoning, because the lot size is not small by any means, but the R4 will allow them to be able to build the buildings a little bit closer to each other so that they don't have to have as much with setbacks. There are to the north, northwest, and northeast, there are other multifamily housing designations. So there's R2, R4 directly to the north, R3, and an R3 to the northeast. There's R1B to the south of this, and then it is primarily surrounded by C1, which is the general business district for downtown. We had no opposition at the meeting. However, and I had 3 calls prior to that meeting, just to let you know that one neighbor was in favor, one was neutral, although he did not like he did not like 2 stories. He didn't think that more 2 stories needed to be in the heart of town. And then the other one was concerned about drainage. And then I think they misunderstood. The lot reads as 5 lots because the older part of town, the lots were narrow. And so the legal description reads as 5 lots. And I think they thought that they were going to build 5 duplexes. That's not the case here. So they're requesting to. The applicant is here this evening. If you have any specific questions that I can't answer, and he might be wanting to speak as well if you would like him to. Otherwise, staff is recommending approval of the first reading of this ordinance for the rezone based on Planning and Zoning's recommendation to approve.
Councilmember Evans, I think, was first.
I just had a simple question. You mentioned that we're going to build them closer together. So is there going to be adequate parking?
So when they submit their plans, they would have to have 1.5, because of it being a higher density, they would have to have 1.5 parking spaces per living side. So we would have to require at least that. I believe that they intend to have a garage for each one, so they can have enclosed parking, and then their driveway with the off-street parking. The applicant is up here, so I'll let him maybe further address your question there.
Thank you.
Correct. So we are looking at a 2-story, but each of them would have a car garage, and then with the driveway, that would be adequate parking. So it would be off-street parking.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Bass.
Do we have any, you don't have to submit renderings for this? Because we had those with the last one we just recently had.
And tonight is just for rezoning. The plans will have to go before planning and zoning still.
Right.
This is just the first step to get that rezoned. Is that correct, Kyle?
So for the rezoning, we do not require plans. Plans do not have to go back before planning and zoning. They would just come to staff as part of their application. So when we look at the rezoning, we're looking at the use of the land, not necessarily we're looking at, can this property be high density housing? Yes or no. Then if that is approved, then our subdivision regulations, our zoning regulations have parameters for what can go on a R4 lot. So there's a structure height maximum, on the high density, there's not as much of as for the coverage ratio, but there are limitations within our code that they have to comply with when they submit their plans to my department for approval. So in the most general part of Valley Center, you can't have a structure over 35 feet high. So they couldn't build a 4-story building here. But then there's you have to follow code for room sizes and things like that. So our department or my department will review all of that to make sure that it follows our code before any building permits were approved.
Councilmember Gregory.
What is the zoning of the fourplex on the north end?
It is R3 residential. It's multifamily. this is high density allows for multifamily as well. It just allows for them to be closer together, essentially. So there's, I think in a high density, if I remember correctly, you can do 5 foot between structures instead of 6. And then they could have a closer setback to the road. This being on a corner, we already allow for closer setbacks on one side. So on a typical corner lot in Valley Center, you can have a 25-foot setback. You have to have a 25-foot setback on one side. The other side can be 15. The R4, I think, actually allows it to be up to 10, but their goal is to just make sure that they have enough off-street parking for the tenants. They also have told me they want to orient the building to face east so that they're not having parking and backing issues with the quadplex to the north. So they're trying to be cognizant of those that are around them when they're laying out this lot. Again, you're not necessarily considering the orientation of the building tonight, but that's just some things that they've talked about.
But the R4 would be better than R3 in
The
this
R-
case?
The R, yes, because the R4 would allow them a little bit more room to build, so they could build a bigger unit essentially for living in. So they don't have to scale down the size of the living unit. They can try, and he might be able to speak. I think it was I think you were hoping for a 3-bedroom.
Yeah, we're looking at a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with 1-car garage. So, I mean, they're not big units, but like what Kyle was saying, with it being on the corner lot, it does give us a little more leeway on those setbacks, so they can face Ash instead of facing the fourplex across the street, which would be a nightmare for backing out for both sides. So that makes sense.
Any further discussion? Oh, Councilmember Wilson.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick. I'm in favor of going ahead and approving this zoning this zoning request. I do have concerns about parking though, as we did with the other structure. You know, when you're talking about 4 separate driveways in such a small area, that is a little bit of a concern for me, because that's what we were facing in with that other property request too. But that's not for us to decide tonight. So that's all my comment was on it.
Any further discussion, council?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1422-25, which rezones property located at 135 North Ash from R1B to R4 for first reading.
Second. I have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Abstention?
Oh, yeah, sorry, vote no, sorry. Yeah, you vote no.
Motion carries 6-1. Item E, approval final plat, Bob White subdivision.
All right, good evening again. This again comes out of the planning and zoning meeting last week. Just to give you a little more history on this one, this plat is actually in the county. It is in our extraterritorial jurisdiction, which is the reason it comes to Valley Center. We do not intend to annex these lots, and the owner applicant does not want the city to annex them. They're wanting them and selling them as county lots. And so it's coming before you this evening for approval that the right process was followed to get to this point. After here, so planning and zoning has approved the final plat. The next step is for dedications to be accepted. Normally that would come to us for us to accept the dedications of right-of-way and easements. But again, because we're not intending to annex this, we want the county to accept those dedications. And so the county, we've been in reviews with the county. The county has made sure that this plat follows their guidelines. And so the Board of County Commissioners is who would formally accept the dedications on this. And so we're bringing this to you this evening. See if you have any questions, give you the recommendation of approval from planning and zoning, and then ask that you just approve that we have followed the right steps and that we are not accepting the dedications as the City of Valley Center.
Councilmember Colbert.
The only question I got is there a potential that this could be annexed at a later date?
There could be potential, yes. The lot, I mean, it is within a half mile of city limits. I just saw yesterday there's about a 30-acre tract between these lots and city limits that's for sale. So there's potential that 30-acre tract could be annexed. But it's for sale. We don't know what the buyer's going to do with it. So at this point in time, there's a separation between these lots and the city limits, and that's why we're not accepting the dedications as a city, because the applicant's not requesting annexation, and we're not forcing them to annex these with this plat.
Another question I had, since it is in the county, they will be responsible for doing the road pavement for 93rd Street, right?
So this does not require any road improvements with what they're doing. So it'll continue to be a gravel road, and it'll still be under either the county or the township maintenance.
Councilmember Wilson.
Yeah, Kyle, I need you to explain that to me again as to why this is in front of us, because this sure sounds like this should be in front of Sedgwick County. I'm very confused.
Yeah, so it is with our comprehensive plan that we just adopted. This is actually in our old extraterritorial jurisdiction. We hopefully will adopt a new one showing our growth area. As part of I think there's 7 steps that it has to go through to get to final acceptance. And I think we're on step 5, which is the city has to accept it or recommend it to the county. We're not, I've talked with Barry. Barry could potentially speak to this as well. Talked with Barry. Sedgwick County has, again, been involved with this as well. And the step tonight is to accept it. But as we're saying, we're not recommending acceptance of the dedications. We're just recommending that you guys approve that everything has been done correctly and then send it to the county for them to consider acceptance of dedication.
So the first 4 steps went through Sedgwick County then?
No, because this is in our extraterritorial jurisdiction, everything has actually gone through planning, Valley Center Planning and Zoning. And those steps did involve coordination with the county, and they've provided comments and feedback. But because it's in our extraterritorial jurisdiction, trying to get better at saying that, it comes to us immediately instead of going through Sedgwick County.
Clear as mud. Thank you.
You're
welcome. Appreciate it.
So basically, it boils down to we are having to approve this because of its proximity to the city.
Correct.
Okay.
Recommend approval of final plat for Bob White Division.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve final plat for Bob White subdivision. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Kyle. Item F, approval of 3rd Street change order.
Evening, Council President, members of council. So I come before you this evening with a change order. It's listed as change order for 3rd Street. It's actually a change order for the 2025 roadway services project with the mill and overlay. The whole project includes the mill and overlay of ash plus the upgrade services to 3rd Street. What happened was during the removal of the curb on the south side of 3rd Street on the east end, as we started pulling that curb out, it was discovered that over time, there was material added to that road in layers to the point it was over 7 inches high. So in order to bring that down to the curb properly, we would have to mill off so much that it would deter the integrity of the road, the new road. So in order to maintain your proper flow line, proper crown in the road, they're recommending to pull out all the surface, put a new base in, and bring in 5 inches of asphalt on that section road, and then bring that road down to the curb as it's in properly to maintain the flow line. The way it was, these people were hardly able to get in and out of their driveways. It was such a step. 5 inches is our city standards for roadway services, surface. Now, I would like to go over this change order, the numbers, the 2 numbers at the top in parentheses. those are the actual, the previous cost of the mill and overlay. So we wanted to show that he took that off. And then he added in the 5 inches of aggregate base, 5 inches of asphalt pavement, the staking and excavation. So the change order, the actual change order value is $108,645, bringing the new total contract value to $392,220. Now, when we add in the $16,000 for the curb and gutter, the whole project is still at $408,600, well within our system improvement line item, well within our budget.
Councilmember Wilson.
So Rodney, educate me on where is that line at of failure on bringing those mills down or bringing that asphalt down? Where is that line drawn
Well,
at?
so right now, we're talking at the far east end. If we milled that down, we would be getting down into the dirt at the far end. As you come west, it's going to be less. So at the far end, it was build up. So as you come west, it would be less.
So is that what's affecting flow too? Is that what you're saying? Is that since that's so high, we'd have to
Yeah,
bring
it
it
would
down so
affect
that would
flow.
affect
So
flow?
The road didn't even have a proper crown. The road was getting to the point where it was high over here and everything was going like this.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Stam.
This takes me back to the RFPs. I don't like doing RFPs for these, as you're putting it all in the contractor. I think a little work on the city's part, like maybe having GSI come out and do some core drilling to show what the pavement thickness is, would maybe help. Wouldn't have prevented it, but it would have been not a surprise. So I like to
Understood.
maybe look at that. I mean,
Just-
GSI used to charge like maybe $300 a hole. Just need 2 or 3 holes along the stretch of road that gauge it on. You might look at that next year as an option.
Absolutely.
Council, any more discussion?
Recommend approval of the 2025 roadway upgrade services RFP change order 32725 in the amount of $108,645 and authorize the mayor or city administrator to sign.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 12, consent agenda.
Motion to accept consent agenda as presented.
Have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to staff reports. Kyle. Neil. Lloyd. Rodney. All right, somebody had to run at that table.
Well, we probably better offer a little bit of an update on the Meridian project. So they've been doing a really good job. They've been getting the multi-use path poured down along there. They have both lanes poured all the way down to the 69th Street. They've been frantically working on the water line redirect, as we're going to have to do that water line underneath stormwater down there. By the way, that is scheduled for Thursday night. We sent out emails to all the affected households. Pearson Construction gave out notices door to door today. So that shutdown will begin at 8 o'clock at night. It was chosen at night for 2 reasons, mainly because that's our main line into town, and during the redirect, the town has to maintain water pressure off of the amount of water in the town. Okay, so we spoke with PEC. They figure with that tower full, that gives us 12 to 15 hours easy. On a regular day. At night, it could be more. So we chose that at low usage time. They've got it all built. They're going to have it all built out. They've already built most of it out. They pressure tested it. It's in the ground. So what'll happen is we'll shut the water down. They'll tie it all in, come back in, we'll pressurize it back up, evacuate all the air. We'll flush out anything from the lines, and then back home again. They're working on driveways. They were working on the approach to Nest Street today. The north section, I was asked about flags. We had some issues with some flags in the high wind. We broke some of those. Even some of the arms broke in some of the high winds. We have purchased some new arms. It looks like it's going to be a good day. I'll probably have them be putting flags back up tomorrow. So yes, they did have an issue with an electrical line with planting a tree up along there. So I plan to try to get with PS&E. We need to get with them anyway for some training on that mill bank, get with them and they can maybe give us some guidance on how to locate those electrical lines because apparently those are going to be treated just like a service line to your house. So those are now ours to locate. So we will have to get educated on how to locate those electrical lines for any further work along there. So we'll get busy on that.
Councilmember Wilson?
Rodney, on those water reserves, does that also have a cushion in there for emergency services if we happen to have a fire?
Well, that's what we got. The tower is what we got. That's our one line into town. They don't estimate it to take very long to get it covered. So this is what we got, sir.
Rodney, that won't require any flushing of the lines by the residents, will it? Is that something you do at
Do
the
that.
interruption? And okay.
Yes. So what they will do is when they go to pressure it back up, they will actually have like strategically 2 to 3 fire hydrants open.
Okay.
And then when they'll slowly pressure that line up, and what that'll do is while those hydrants are open, as the water comes in, all the air will come back and go out those hydrants. So you evacuate the air as you're pressuring the line up. Once those are flowing real good and hard, we can close the hydrants up. We can finish opening up all the valves, and then it'll start filling that tower back up. We'll be back.
All right. Any further questions? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
No Gage, I don't see. Barry? Clint? Christie?
This isn't really me, but I'm sure Brent would want just a reminder to, if you haven't done the survey for the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, please go and complete their survey and get your input in. It's important for our Valley Center.
Christie, what's the deadline for that?
The 7th of April is the engagement round, so I'm assuming that you need to have the survey, your comments. The 2 open houses are already over. They were in March, so.
Is there any way we can push that out on our social media again? Okay. All right. Thank you. Governing body reports. Councilmember Colbert.
Yeah. Okay. And the suggestion made that maybe a stop sign or a yield sign, that people will come out and they're more or less cornered coming out to the grass line.
Stop sign coming out of the parking lot.
Yeah.
There is a stop sign currently there. However, that is a parking lot right now, and we can't enforce that. It's not an enforceable stop sign on private property. I know, and Brent and I can have more conversations. We've discussed that a little bit, and some potential resolutions to bring to council. So it's something we can certainly do, talk about that some more and bring some resolutions to council.
Okay, the other thing was
let me go back just a second. They still have to yield to the cars on the road. So if we witness a violation, failure to yield coming off the private property, we can do that. It's just the stop sign itself, if there's no cars to yield to, we don't enforce a stop sign violation coming off the private property.
okay, the signs for the walking path coming across the road here is not feasible for handicappers. Is there any way that could be corrected?
The streets department have been working on a plan to try to fill some of that ditch in with dirt over that culvert to remain with the culvert. Fill it in, pack it in where we could put a sidewalk on there by that rapid flash beacon sign. Now, as far as once you get on that sidewalk back over to Southwind, there's nothing we can do. I mean, until you'd have to put sidewalk all the way down Southwind, and that's going to be another project on its own.
Probably 10 years or so.
Yep.
Councilmember Wilson.
I don't have anything, President.
Councilmember Bass.
Nothing for me.
I have nothing. Councilmember Gregory.
Oh, nothing.
Councilmember Evans.
I'm good, sir.
Councilmember Stam.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned.